Hey folks, and it's Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. It is all downhill towards the weekend from here, so don't you worry. We have some more hobby nightmares coming your way right now. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. The Patreon button is also down below. If you want to help out the channel and make sure we're growing, then make sure you either do that or you subscribe to the channel. Either of those two things really help me out and make sure we are reaching our goal of 15,000 subs by the end of the year. If you already subbed to me, why not spread the love, spread it around. If you think someone else out there could get some stuff from my videos in a positive way, then, head on over and send them some of my videos, see if they want to sub. We'll see, We don't know what's coming in life. Let's just get on with it. If you have any hobby nightmares, by the way, I am getting to the last of my hobby nightmares bag. Well, I now have 8 or 9 left to read. So, if you want to be on here, then make sure you head on and you to hobbynightmares@gmail.com down below and you send me some of your hobby nightmares if you want them read out. First hobby nightmare is from Birch. Hello Birch, how are you? He says, "Hi North. I would like to remain anonymous due to the fact this is so recent. No problem, just call me Birch. I have done. I have been in..." Oh, by the way, if you want me to call you something else, put it at the start of your letter, or even in the, a prescript. Anywhere there, it's fine. If you say it 3 or 4 lines in, I don't know what you want from me. I've been an avid listener for over a year now. Good man of culture. I listen to your channel when I go for walks. I do this to clear my head most days, and it helps me focus and keep my life on track with the day-to-day grind. Well, I hope you're not walking when you're listening to this and going, "Oh my god, he's reading my message." Okay, whenever I'm strolling around the lake, I often walk past dog walkers as I'm knee-deep in listening to a hobby nightmare, and I often just burst out laughing without a care in the world. I have no idea what the dog walkers think. Well, that's lovely. The reason why I got into this was because I used to do the same thing to people like Bill Burr. I used to listen to him and his podcast and all different things, and I'd be laughing and I'd be going, "I'd love to do this for people," you know what I mean? So they can have a laugh. And anyway, I have been an avid hobbyist for many years now. I started out when I was in my early teens, but stopped when it became uncool and took up again around 2006, when I began working with a group of guys who all got together on Sundays for Garage Hammer. Playing Warhammer in your garage, essentially. I bet you it became uncool when you found women. But, moving on. This was the back end of version 4. So the back end of 4th edition. I decided to start a Tau army and have been a Tau player ever since. Whilst also starting other armies, the Tau will always be my favourite army. My introduction to the hobby was a tough one. I'd lose every week, but it was never about the winning. I just enjoyed being in the setting of 40k and acting out narrative campaigns and battles. I had to stop around 2011 due to life taking over and having kids, but I took the hobby up again in 2017 for 8th edition. And I'm happy to say I am now an avid player. I separated from my wife in 2021 after COVID. I'm very sorry to hear that. Sometimes things just don't work out. I now have a lot more time for tournaments and attend various grand tournaments and regional tournaments every month when I don't have the kids. What I love about 40k is how it allows grown adults to never grow up. I bet that COVID has a lot to answer for when it comes to relationships. I'm telling you now. The relationship I was in COVID pretty much ended because of the pressure it put on us, to be fair. I think the same might be there for you as well. My nightmare is very recent. I just had to get this over to you whilst it is fresh in my memory, as it is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to endure. Wow. A little bit of background before we begin. There is a well-known player in the tournament scene whom I will refer to as Hulk. He is mostly banned from all events nationally and locally. Whenever his name pops up on a roster, waves of people all drop away from it. He once tried his luck at a super major and lasted all of 2 rounds before being banned for life. The type of lowlife you just want to never talk to, right? Well, this is the weird part. He is a really nice bloke. Built like a brick... can I say that? Are we 3 minutes in? Yes. Built like a brick shithouse, with arms the size of tree trunks, and away from the table, he is nothing but nice. The moment he stands at the gaming table, he changes into a giant Hulk with roid rage, and tries every trick under the sun. More about that later. Okay. Well, it just goes to show you that, you know, some people's key tell is 40k. And what I mean about that is that people are genuinely nice people until they do one thing, and then they become really annoying, right? I have friends like that. I've mentioned a friend a few times that I go out with, or I used to go out with anyway, who's a top bloke, you know, when you're not around women, you know, but when you're around women, he will, you know, talk shit about you, he will downplay you, he will try and sabotage you, but away from women, totally nice guy. But that's not somebody I can have in my inner circle. You may be a nice guy, you may be salt of the earth, you may pull me out of a burning car, right? I don't dispute that, but I can't have you around me if you know, that's snaky behaviour and I don't like it and I don't want it around me. So people have their tells. People aren't just simple black and white. There are versions of grey around everything. And what you found here is somebody whose key tell, his key worst trait behaviour is Warhammer 40,000 or competitive gaming in general, you know. The event in question is the only event I know of that he is allowed to attend. He has been banned from this event in the past too, but somehow convinces them he has turned over a new leaf and is able to return. I think he knows the tournament organiser and has sweet-talked his way around. Usually, there are a group of lads from another gaming group who do not put up with his shit and deal with him. However, on this occasion, they did not attend, which was bad news for everybody else. Just last Thursday, Games Workshop released the balanced data slate. With the upcoming LGT, a lot of people were wanting to test out lists and get things ready using this new data slate, myself included. I saw this guy's name on the roster, but thought to myself, do you know what, sod it. I need to test out my list, so even if I draw him, I will still do that regardless. Saturday morning arrives. I travel with my friend to the event. I won't talk about round numbers as to not be identified, but let's just say for me, 4 of the 5 rounds went swimmingly. I had 4 great games against great opponents and my list was perfected. The round I was paired into the Hulk, however, took a decidedly nasty turn. He starts off the round by explaining his army like any normal game. You accept what he says and offer him all the information about my army list so we can have a normal game. We both use tactical secondaries and he offers me his deck to shuffle. Likewise, I offer him mine. I shuffle his deck, the decks get placed on the table. That's very nice, very sporting. We roll off for the first turn and he rolls a 6. How miraculous. I won't speculate on this, it could have been just luck. It became very clear very quickly what was about to happen though. I had to make a decision. Do I just throw the game now, head to the bar and chill, or do I just continue this for comedy value? I'll be honest, I knew what was impending and I thought to myself, I'm gonna let this one ride out, and I'll be able to document this as a tale of misery to Northern Exile, and at least I'm getting something out of the game by warning others not to put up with this kind of shit. Well, all he did was roll a 6. Are you trying to say his dice are loaded? We'll see. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm not using the tournament organiser and having the tournament organiser stand and watch my game. Well, this guy is very manipulative. It is hard to describe his demeanour, but he makes you feel as though it isn't an option. I mean, he is there in the first place, right? So what is the TO going to do about it? In all honesty, it's a bit of a shit show. He starts his first round, in the command phase. Before he even throws a dice, he cheats. His warlord puts all of his powers to all of his units when it's only 1 power on 1 unit. He then proceeds to move his models, all of them, too far. Too many models, although he has brought more onto the table than his list allows. How? Wait, hang on. This is all elementary stuff. This is all stuff that is just obviously cheating. How is he getting away with this? Is this a thing in tournaments? You know, is this a thing in tournaments? Does this go on a lot? It just seems too difficult to get away with, especially at a tournament. Somebody would be like, yeah, that wasn't on the list. What's all that about? You know what I mean? Did you drop pod them in? Like, what's going on? He does not do much in his turn 1 other than score his cards he drew easily, and he moves into the midboard. I start my round 1 and draw cards I cannot score. I shoot his chaff units and he allocates wounds incorrectly and does not take all of the models off the table. The models can return in each command phase, and when he returns the models he returns too many of them. In his turn 2 he shoots his tanks and says they are damage 6 when they are damage 3. He continues to draw cards that are perfect for the round so he can score them, and that is when I noticed it. He had a second deck of cards in his back pocket and must have swapped the decks over before he drew his cards in round 1 after I shuffled his other deck. Wow. Now that is clever. I don't want to congratulate him because it's not the right thing to do, but now the other ones I can see they are obvious cheats and I'm getting frustrated that he's not being caught. This one though, that would be very easy to do. That would be extremely easy to do. Jeez. I never thought about that, about cheaters, about how they could get away with it. That'd be so easy to do. Anyway. At this point, the game was totally void for me. I had to choose again whether I continue or just kick off. I mean, the game was too far gone to be recovered at this point, so I sat there dejected, and wondered how the actual fuck this guy is there, and what he gets out of being a total cheat. I would get nothing out of it by doing what he is doing. In fact, I would rather lose a game and know I played it entirely correctly than win and get most of it wrong. The game couldn't end soon enough. I hit the bar and put it all behind me. It was clear what was happening, but sometimes you just have to be the bigger man. I could have been a rules lawyer, stood my ground on every single one of his rules, and had the tournament organiser stood there, but if I did that, I would have caused a massive atmosphere, and we would possibly have gotten only 2 rounds in. The issue was, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and an opportunity to show he had changed. The second the game began, it was too far gone to repair. Alright. I'm going to tell you the reason why you should have stood up for yourself and why you should have called this guy out. Because if you don't, somebody else has to go through what you went through. Okay? That's why. That's why. If you don't, somebody else will have to play this guy and man up and do the thing that you didn't do. Do you know what I'm saying? When you come across a guy like this, you need to report him, you need to go to the TOs, you need to sort it out at a tournament. You know, I'm planning on attending one pretty soon, probably next year, or maybe the end of this year. We'll see. But, dude, you can't do shit like this. You've got to report stuff like this. You know, it is actually selfish to not report him. You know? I did tell the tournament organiser after the round what he had done. He just sighed and said, "Not again." But it seems that was the end of it. Dude, why did he... Just ban him. Just ban this guy. I gave his next opponent a big warning. He continued the rest of his games doing the same and nobody got him banned this time. 5 rounds of being a serial cheat and completely getting away with it is a feat in itself. He collected his trophy and not a single person clapped. For second place and third place there was a huge round of applause. Yeah, because those are the real winners. Those are the real winners. I love that though. He gets his trophy and nobody claps. That's the most poetic moment in this entire thing. Second place, third place, yay, everyone's clapping, and then he stands there, yes, with his trophy, crickets. Not a sound. That is literally what you get. That must have felt really shitty. You know, but then again, maybe it doesn't. Maybe he completely goes, yeah, they're just all jealous, or you know, most cheaters I know have something wrong with them. You know, I mean, there's an issue in their brains where they literally think they're winning legitimately. They lie to themselves, right? You know, everybody gets stuff wrong. I get stuff wrong, you get stuff wrong. The reason why I don't do tournament is because I always get stuff wrong, you know? I get stuff wrong that allows my opponent to get away with things, and I get stuff wrong where I get away with things that I shouldn't get away with. I'm just terrible at playing the game, which is why I love playing one-page rules. But, just incredible that he takes this and goes, yeah, this is a legitimate win. Okay. On the way home, myself and my buddy had a good laugh about it. The sheer audacity was quite frankly hilarious. I was still shocked he got away with it. The event organiser is shooting himself in the foot. The 5 opponents of the sky will almost certainly never attend one of those events ever again, and will tell all of their gaming groups to do so too. So it really is not the best way to run an event. This got worse after the event. Due to this event being the Games Workshop balanced data slate changes, and one of the first events to use it, it was featured on a hugely popular 40k channel that has thousands of subscribers, and the winners list was critiqued to a worldwide audience, where thousands of people were all talking in the comments about how amazing it was that this army won a GT. Little do they know, the Hulk was the winner who cheated his way to the top spot and got worldwide recognition. Sigh. Okay. You've now named the channel next, but you said it's just for me. So I'm wondering whether I should say that or not. I won't, because you haven't told me to say it. But if any of you know tactics on YouTube, you know this YouTuber. I'm just going to say that. You know? Safe to say, this event has changed me for a player. I love 40k and I love events, but I will 100% be much more wary of ways people cheat from now on. I spoke to numerous people who have played him in the past, and they say he has changed the way he cheats now. He used to waste time on purpose and fabricate the score to convince you would have lost. Since everybody uses a chess clock on him now, he reverted to the fast play with fake rules tactic and extra deck of cards in his back pocket. Thanks for listening and happy gaming. To anyone attending the London Grand Tournament, stay safe and don't be afraid to call a judge over because they don't put up with this type of BS there. Cheers, Birch. No worries, man. That is an incredible level of cheating stupidity. That is, they must be around though. This is not the first Hobby Nightmare I've read where people have been like this. This is not the first one, you know? Anyway, Fireman Pete says, "Hey North, please excuse the name. I couldn't resist, and you will get why later." Okay. So this nightmare happened 2 years ago now, here in the US on the West Coast, and I will leave it at that. We had a local store that we loved to death, and the manager, David, was like a dad to all of us. Like literally, he would go out of his way to help out at Christmas by offering the parents of the local area something free under the till. Like a Canadian infantry box if they were getting Imperial Guard for their kids. And he would do it if they were pretty sure the family was hard up for cash. That's a cool thing to do, man. That's a cool thing to do. Like he'd just do it off of his own back, mainly because the store was doing very well. We had 2 floors of games and gaming tables, and had a D&D alcove upstairs that actually had a balcony, so it was always hit by a nice cool Pacific cool sea breeze. Most of the people who went into our store would agree that it is the best one they'd ever been in. It smelled nice, it looked nice, and it was run by a guy who was super passionate about the hobby. I wanted Dave to talk about his own store, so I asked him for some input into how it got started. So I will hand over to him for a little bit, if you wouldn't mind reading this verbatim. No worries, okay, cool. Hearing from the guy himself. So, and I quote, this is from the manager Dave. "Howdy North. The dream to own a gaming store was one I'd had for many years, and I was extremely lucky enough to be able to retire in my early 50s. I was a software engineer, and sold off my applications and smaller companies for quite the pretty penny in the mid-2000s during the boom in tech, so I ended up with a decent amount before retirement. Not millions, but enough to set my family up. No problem. The store was literally something for me to do in my spare time to keep the wife from going crazy with me being underfoot at home. Spoiler alert, that's not a good sign. No, it isn't. If your wife doesn't want you there, then yeah, that's not a good sign. When I did have marital problems, she took the kids, divorced me, and took half of my money with her. I will be honest though, it was a loveless marriage, and she made me miserable, so I ended up finding a lover who made me feel good. Like I didn't get laid for a solid 8 years in the marriage. 8 years, dude. 8 years. At that point, just get rid of her. Just walk. You can't do that. 8 years. Just walk, man. You know, you are going to end up cheating. I'm sorry. Like if you're not getting laid, you know, it's going to happen. Sooner or later, somebody will show an interest, and your knees will buckle. You know, your animal brain will take over. You need to get out of there. That is not a good place to be, because you feel bad in yourself, man. You feel totally bad in yourself. Anyway, moving on. When my wife found out about my lover, she divorced me. Yeah, that's her right to do, man, let's be honest. She divorced me and took half of the money, but that was not a big deal. I can make more money back, and my wife was a douche. There you go. There you go. I missed my kids though, and the legal system over here in the US is heavily cheated, in quotes, in the favour of the wife in all of these issues. My wife could have been abusing crack and waving a 9mm gun around the house. She'd probably still get custody over her dad, who ran his own business and was a top-rate guy. Not saying that was me, although I tried my best, but that's just how it goes. I've heard things about the US, man. Terrifying things. Not good. So yeah, not a great time. The store was a huge thing for me though. With the divorce, I had to look at the store as more of a job than I had previously, but that was fine. I loved it. And I loved my customers. When the financial crisis hit in 2008, that almost wiped me out again, as my portfolio of properties that I had tanked, and I was left with a mere remnant of what I once had in savings. The store had gone from a passion project to my sole income. I sold off all of my property when the market recovered slightly to cover debts and leave me with a foundation to build on, and started over again at the age of 59 financially. Not ideal. No, but the fact that you're starting off, man, and you're starting off doing something you love, means that you're in a better position than having You're in a better position earning and putting money away starting from scratch doing something you love on your own, single, at 59, than you were married, miserable, and with close to $1 million in the bank. I'm telling you. You can make more money. And men normally age like a fine wine. If you take care of yourself, 59 can look like 45, 39. I've known 59-year-olds who look like they're in the mid-30s. Really. Because they take care of themselves, and they moisturize, and they go to the gym, and they're not ripped. They just look normal. But, like, women are attracted to these guys because they're making really good money, they're settled in life, right? And they've aged like a fine wine because they've taken care of themselves, and they've gone through the rigmarole of making sure that all that life experience doesn't go to waste. I bet you're happier with a fraction of the money. Yeah, aside from the kids thing, I bet you're happier. I threw myself into the store and built it from a single-story small store into a double-story building with more space out back that I smashed through to get to. The store exploded in popularity as we hosted tournaments of all kinds in the local area and made sure that our in-store campaigns and events were second to none for prizes and atmosphere. I truly felt like I had found my happy place. A place my kids, that I was now allowed to see on weekends, loved being around. Although my ex-wife hated anything they brought back from the store and hurled it in the trash if she got her hands on it, so they had to keep their things at my place. Yeah, petty, as per usual. Anyway, this is where I send you back to Pete. Thanks, North. Close quote. No worries, man. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. So, Pete says again. So as you can see, David was a diamond of a guy. He really went to bat for us. That is why in 2020, the height of the pandemic, when the store burned down, We were all devastated. Oh, don't be a sad ending, please. Don't need it today. David was beside himself. I still remember turning up that evening in my pickup truck and seeing him just sitting on the curb and sobbing. Oh no. He was insured, sure, but this was going to ruin him big time. Me and the other guys just put our arms around him, mandate be damned, and hugged it out. It was like we all lost a big pillar in our lives. In the end, the insurance took a long time to pay out, as it was discovered the fire was caused by arson, not some random fault with the building. So whilst the investigation was pending and underway, an investigation, by the way, that had no strong conclusions in the end, random arson was the cause, David was out of a place, out of pocket, and quickly falling into a financial black hole. Oh no. Dude. Sorry, I had to take a sip of tea there to steady myself, because if this doesn't get better, it's gonna suck, this. Anyway, a few weeks later, I got a call from a friend of ours, Simon, from our WhatsApp group, who wanted to go for a coffee. Now, I knew Simon pretty well. He was a decent dude, all things considered, but going for a coffee was a bit out of the blue. I was intrigued though, so I headed over there to see him. We sat down and I noticed that he was in a suit, and I'd never really seen him in a suit before. And he asked me if I knew David well, and I said I did and that he was a good guy. Simon agreed. He then asked if he knew how David, if I knew how David would react to an act of random charity as a thank you for all the times David had helped Simon's son, Michael, with the initial steps in the hobby. Simon told me that his son Michael had autism, but the hobby brought him out of his shell, and now he was operating at a level not seen in, well, forever. He was doing really well in school, had good friends he had gotten from the store, and wanted to go into engineering to work on planes. All this came from the store and David's constant positive reinforcement and helping him build his copious amounts of Dakar jet planes. This dude sounds like an amazing manager. So Simon wanted to help out. He told me he was an investment specialist and was not short of money at all, so not to worry. He made out a check in David's full name in front of me, put all of his details on it for an account he'd set up just for this transaction, and passed it over to me. It was blank. And I quote, this is from Simon, and I quote, tell David to put any number he needs to on there and to get the store back up and running. Cover his rent for a few years too, whatever he needs to do. I get a ping when he uses the check, so I'll okay the funds straight away no matter what he puts on there, alright? Here is my card. If he needs anything else down the road or there's a bump in it, you need to tell him to call me, text me or email me, and only me, okay? Unquote. I looked at him dumbfounded and asked him if this was some kind of joke. Simon stood, finished off his coffee, buttoned up his suit, jacket and said, "Listen man, I have to go, I've got a meeting, but no, this isn't a joke." What's the phrase? Sometimes the good guys need a win, I suppose? Well, here we are, unquote. He slaps me on the shoulder and walked off to his car, a top-of-the-line SUV that he was not driving. This guy sounds like a secret agent. I love this. I love this. Wow. I looked Simon up, and he is indeed one of the top investment guys in the state in terms of real estate. And looking at who he has worked with, it is no wonder the guy is stacked financially. It actually took some convincing for David to take the money, and even then, he only did so after a few phone calls and meetups with Simon in person to get to know the guy. This David dude sounds like a real cool guy. Like, you know what I mean? He wouldn't take charity without knowing the guy first. I love that. In the end, David refused to just take the money for nothing, and instead brought Simon in as a partner in his business. Simon just wanted to be the money guy, and so he was. The store was rebuilt, David kept his place, And now it is booming more than ever, and David actually has 2 other stores in the state, all under the same umbrella, and all with the backing of Simon, who gets a token amount back for his investment every year and gets free models for his kid. David's so fucking smart here as well. He's taken one payoff from this guy, right? And he said, listen, if you've got all this money and you love the hobby and you love what it's doing for your son, why didn't we go into business together? Why didn't we make a go of this? I'll rebuild this store, but why don't we get more stores? This dude's got it. I'm telling you now, this dude's got it. He's taken like the manure that this guy gave him to grow some crops and said, why don't we invest in some seeds and some land? You know, and we'll make more money that way. This is cool, man. And he's giving him a return on his investment. And he's got a business partner who isn't going to grind his gears about, you know, if he's had a bad year. This is cool, dude. I wish I had more drama for you, North, but that's really it. We even got all of our armies back through this guy's check. Because we all kept our armies in the store. Oh god, that must have been bad. No wonder you're all crying. David sobbed like a baby when I first came to him with the check and the idea from Simon. I don't think he dared believe it until the money cleared in his own account. It was an amazing thing to see humanity help humanity like that. I will never forget it, and without this hobby, I would never have seen it. Cheers, Pete. What an amazing... Dude, that's really set me up for the day. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so happy. That's such a cool end to that as well. And please share the name of his business. I'll give him a shout out. Not that I've got lots of people who watch, but I'll give him a shout out, at least. Email me again. Show me the name of his business and I'll put it on here. Anyway, love you a long time. I will be back tomorrow for another 40k rant on why the Imperium should not be united in the modern timeline. Right? These videos never do well, but I really do enjoy writing about them. They're awesome. And then on Friday, we have an absolute doozy of a hobby nightmare. So, I'll see you then. Love you a long time. Have a good middle of your week. We're nearly there, bros. We're nearly there. It's nearly Friday. Stick with me now. Stick with me. Don't go anywhere. Love you. Bye.